Treasury before the start of the redevelopment work. But the reality is that the BMA, like Home Affairs itself, is underfunded. If we want to properly manage our borders, we will have to invest more resources in doing so. A further urgent priority in improving the dignity of interactions with Home Affairs is to get rid of the concept of system offline. In order to achieve this, we need to embrace modern technological solutions. One of the options under consideration is the recommendation from the Council for Scientific Research to optimize the department's IT infrastructure. There are some promising developments in this regard, with offices like Wynberg here in Cape Town already having upgraded its internet connection speed to 1 gigabyte per second. The problem of long queues must be similarly tackled. While technological upgrades will also assist in this regard, I intend to review the way in which queues are managed at Home Affairs offices to identify appropriate business process reforms that optimize the online booking system and better manage. Another way to shorten queues is by expanding our footprint and taking services closer to the people. I'm pleased to report that the project to expand into Home Affairs office in Victoria, Cresta Mall in Johannesburg, and in the Pavilion Mall in eThekwini, shortly to be followed by Tiger Valley here in Cape Town. The department's additional 100 mobile trucks that were recently launched by President Cyril Ramaphosa are now also in operation. I saw them in action for myself this past week when the Deputy Minister and I visited Otongati to hand over new smart identity cards to the victims of the storm and tornado that ripped through that area. Honourable Chair, corruption is an assault on dignity. The process of the Special Investigating Unit's investigations into the Lubisi report continues, and there will be zero tolerance for corruption, even as we work with officials that want to do their job. Chair, last but not least, I want to acknowledge three more guests that we have here today. The first is Ms. Dudu Mashlangu, who works at Visa Facilitation Services to East London to help out a client who faced an emergency. The other guests here are Mr. Fuzile Sibeta and Mr. Mdntv. I found out about them on social media when someone complimented them for helping their autistic child receive excellent service at Home Affairs. I invited all three of them as my personal guests so that I can say in public, thank you, we see you, and we are proud of you. Your actions exemplify our mission to bring dignity to all services rendered by Home Affairs, because a working Home Affairs makes South Africa work. Thank you.
Honourable members, the first speaker to react to the budget is the Honourable Chabane on behalf of the ANC.
Thank you, House Chairperson, honourable members, Minister and Deputy Minister, IEC Chairperson, all commissioners and the executive, the Border Management Commissioners and Deputy Commissioners, CEO of Government Printing Works, and Chairperson of Refugees Appeal. On behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, we stand here to table the report of the Committee on the budget of the Department of Home Affairs and its entities. The committee held its meeting on Tuesday, the 9th July 2024, to consider and discuss 5 of DHA, IEC, BMA, and Government Printing Works. These APPs of departments and entities are premised on the strategic plans that were outlined for the sixth administration. It is important to appreciate that the budget we are considering is the last budget of the sixth administration that the Minister of Finance in February 2024. In this regard, we are concluding the 2019-2024 medium-term strategic framework and laying a basis for the 2024-2029 medium strategic framework within the context of continuity and change aligned to the national development. Among the DHA critical contribution for the 2030 NDP achievement is the inclusion of all citizens by providing them with status and them rights and services, and this must be done in efficient, professional and secure manner. Facilitate the acquisition of critical skills needed for the economic growth Department of Higher Education to build our own skill base, to play a key role in enabling regional development by working within SADC, secure and manage migration. House Chairperson, over the years, including the sixth administration, downtime challenges, as the Minister has outlined, and long-term queues remain a huge burden to the efficient operation of the Department of Home Affairs. However, the then Minister and his collective has established a foundation with CSIR to resolve this problem. In the same vein, the department has developed innovative ways of ensuring that are shortened. Among the innovations in this regard include the branch appointment book system, that is a system where people can make appointments to apply for passport, identity documents, and collections. And this system has reduced queues where it has been introduced in the 207 models. This budget, House Chairperson, must prioritize and increase allocation to secure credible services for all offices throughout the country. Corruption. Corruption continues to be a stain on our collective moral fiber. The BC report has laid bare gaps in the education of visas within the Department of Home Affairs. The committee has emphasized that the DHA, in collaboration with the SIU and SSCP, must finalize investigation and prosecute those in the wrong. As the department strives to achieve a home affairs of the future, the DHA should clear backlog on processing visas. There are no further concessions in the future, as the Minister has outlined. Capacity should be increased within the permits and refugee section. The capacity within immigration inspectorate should be increased to deal with the issue of illegal migrants who are already in the country. This achievement of these priorities will depend on the allocation of budget that the Minister has outlined. Honorable members, the department has tabled before this House the marriage bills and one-stop border post bill for consideration by the committee, amongst others. This will require committee to speedily consider them and must be undertaken rigorously public participation process in the seventh Parliament. The committee will also consider the report by the Electoral Reform Consultation Panel on a suitable electoral system that the country must consider. In the past year, South Africa faced challenges of porous borders and unintegrated services at our borders. As a result, the BMA was established as a Schedule 3 Capital A public entity on the 1st of April 2023, responsible for implementation of border law enforcement functions across the port of entry and the border law enforcement areas. Since its establishment, the BMA has recorded significant progress, amongst others, facilitated the movement of people in and out of our country through country air, land, and sea port of entry. Intercepted, as the Minister has outlined, and deported 296 individuals attempting to cross into our country, intercepted high-value vehicles, and destroyed consignment of illicit goods. Managed to integrate transfer of all staff members from various departments. Notwithstanding progress, funding shortfalls has impacted negatively to the strategic operation of the BMA. It is an undeniable fact that the BMA remains largely underfunded despite its being given to secure our borders, and this inadequate resources allocation poses direct risk for achieving this strategic objective. It is worth noting that in 2022, House Chairperson, the BMA requested an allocation of 2.9 billion for the medium-term strategic framework. However, National Treasury allocated 250 million, which impacted negatively to the work of the institution to fully function. In this financial year, it has been allocated 1.4 billion, which is mostly salaries. The Portfolio Committee commends, however, the ongoing interaction between the BMA and National Treasury to respond to this call, and is the responsibility of this House to support for more allocation of the BMA. The Government Printing Works is one of the most progressive security printing specialists, boasting a high-tech with the world equipment. This includes the printing of travel, identity documents, examination material, and security certificates, among various other production materials. It does not receive allocation from the fiscus compared with other entities of the states, hence is self-funding. In the pursuit of creating footprint with other SADC countries, the Government Printing Works has since signed Memorandum of Understanding with Namibia and Kenya and entered into service-level agreement with the Namibian Ministry of Home Affairs to concretize their working relationship for printing Namibia birth certificate. Thus far, the Government Printing Works has produced and delivered 300 copies of Namibian birth certificate to Namibia. In the past financial year, further achievement was realized through Government Printing Works Printing College certificates and industrial vocational training certificates in Eswatini University. The Portfolio Committee noted the challenges related to the finding on the GPW audit performance as well as ICT challenges. The committee will pay more attention to the recommendation of the Auditor General and the Ministerial Review Panel that must be implemented by the Minister and the Executive of Government Printing Works in order to reclaim good sound government for this institution. House Chairperson, despite challenges identified for the first time since the IEC facilitated election that involved independent candidates registration and the third regional ballot papers, the Independent Electoral Commission has once again proved to be a mainstay of a dispensation free and fair electoral process.
Member,
in this case, we tabled
your
this
time
report.
has unfortunately now expired.
In this case, we tabled this report for the House to consider for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker on behalf of the DA is the Honourable Roos.
Thank you, House Chair. The day after assuming office, Minister, you granted temporary extensions to individuals awaiting visas, waiver and appeal decisions. This action was widely lauded as a sign that South Africa is becoming more serious about attracting skilled workers, investors and entrepreneurs, which could enhance growth, lower unemployment and improve the nation's global reputation. In the last week, Minister, you've rightly expressed grave concern at the underfunding of the Border Management Authority. With the extreme budget constraints faced by Home Affairs, it is clear that a whole of society, and the Immigration Act, as you have mentioned, makes provision for an Immigration Advisory Board that must include a representative of organized business, organized labor, and up to 5 other people experienced in immigration law. And such a board is an essential ingredient to an immigration system that works for all South Africans, and we welcome its long overdue establishment. The DA welcomes the committee's resolve to call on Treasury to prioritize funding so that the Border Management Authority can be established, and for Treasury to reconsider the requirement that Government Printing Works return profits to the fiscus, and rather ring-fence these for use within Home Affairs and the BMA. This revenue is largely generated from Home Affairs and has totaled hundreds of millions of rands over the past decade. The DA welcomes the committee's resolve to oversee the resolution of the refugee appeal backlog. The 168,000 refugee appeal backlog was simply not resolved in the last 5-year term, despite extra funding and legal support resources being allocated. And I think the key issue here is really the lack of a digital archive, and this was raised during this process. And what this means is that the refugee appeal officers need to go physically to the office, ask for the file, and then hope that all the documents are in there. Another unresolved issue is that it has been almost 5 years since the DA called for an intergovernmental framework to coordinate immigration operations between Home Affairs, the South African Police Services, and municipal stakeholders, starting with our key economic hubs. And we welcome the first steps announced by the Minister in this regard. We have a collective duty to deal with what is broken in our immigration system and contribute to the economy by creating an environment that creates jobs, real and sustainable jobs for South Africans. This was the top manifesto pledge of the DA and one that we will pursue with unwavering dedication. According to the apex priority of the Government of National Unity, as captured in the shared statement of intent, we welcome the commitment to sustained economic growth, and we share the belief that the Department of Home Affairs is key in delivering that. Now, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkela Mene, said, and I quote, "There is not a single African country that can work alone to trade its way out of poverty." The World Bank estimates a boost in trade income from the African Continental Free Trade Area of $450 billion from trading goods and services with African countries. They estimate this will lift 30 million Africans out of poverty by 2035. And in addition, skilled and unskilled workers in the different countries will see their wages rise by 10.3% and 9.8% respectively. And I agree with Honourable Machane that the scarce skills list needs to be addressed. And we call on the Minister of Labour that this is renewed with proper public participation. And secondly, that the roadblocks where scarce skills visas are delayed because Labour does not come back with a determination is dealt with. Former Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Kuba Naidu has said that making it easier for skilled immigrants to live and work in South Africa should be a no-brainer, because that could create 4 unskilled jobs for South Africans for every skilled migrant. On retirement visas, the Global Retirement Index lists the likes of Panama and Ecuador as top retirement destinations. In these countries, retirees are spending 28 to 35,000 rand a month, spend 3 to 5 million rand on a home, and have their own medical aid. And the same with digital nomads. If we had our share of digital nomads, they spend an average of between 55 and 90,000 rand a month. And if South Africa could just get its equal share of this market, we could expect between 5 to 8 billion rands of additional revenue to the economy per month. And so we welcome this stress and this the specific focus on the visa system and getting it right, because the contributions to our economy are enormous. So the revenue and job creation potential is clearly substantiated. And this is why it's a top priority to deal with the visa backlog and operation specifically the points-based system for issuing visas to attract skills, knowledge, and know-how to South Africa for the benefit of South Africa. Countries look, and this will require bravery to do the right thing, to achieve long-term benefits, and constructive oversight amongst all of us members, so that together we can rescue our broken immigration system and make it an engine of opportunity. I thank you, House Chair.
The next speaker is the Honourable Mohammed. On behalf of the MK Party, Honourable members, please note that to the best of my knowledge, this is a maiden speech. Welcome, Honourable member.
Sanbonani, good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I greet you in the universal greetings of peace. All praise and thanks to Almighty Allah and to the father of our nation, the rightful president of South Africa, Ubaba Jacob Zuma. Esteemed colleagues and fellow South Africans, I stand before you today on behalf of the MK Party to address the serious defects in our immigration system and the rampant abuses of the asylum and refugee system. The issue evokes strong emotions and widespread public debate. It is our duty to address it with the urgency and seriousness it demands. Honourable Speaker, on 10th of November 2023, the Department of Home Affairs published the White Paper on Citizenship, Immigration and Refugee Protection. This document, towards a complete overhaul of the migration system in South Africa, called for public comments which were overwhelmingly received from various stakeholders, including citizens, asylum seekers, refugees, public interest groups, and international organizations. Following extensive consultations, the Cabinet approved the final white paper on 10th of April 2020, Gazette on the 17th of April 2024. This seventh Parliament must carry forward the crucial reforms left unfinished by our predecessors. South Africa's current legislative framework, comprising the Citizenship Act, Immigration Act, and Refugee Act, is fragmented and outdated. These have been amended piecemeal leading to significant disharmony and problems, especially concerning refugee protection and asylum seekers. The United Nations adopted the 1951 Refugees Convention and the 1967 Protocol relating to the status of refugees, while the African Union endorsed the 1969 OAU Convention to address refugee problems in Africa. South Africa's adherence to these conventions has positioned us as a hospitable nation for refugees and asylum seekers. However, this has also resulted in a disproportionately large number of individuals seeking refuge here, overwhelming capacity as a developing country. In 1994, South Africa embraced democracy, and by 1996, we had acceded to various international agreements, including the 1951 Convention, the 1967 Protocol, and the 1969 OAU Convention. Unfortunately, these commitments were made without a clear policy on migration and refugee protection, a hasty even today. The Refugees Act of 1998, aligned with the International Convention, prohibits the refusal of entry, expulsion, or extradition of asylum seekers and refugees. This legislation places an undue burden on our government, allowing individuals to enter the country with minimal scrutiny. The onus should be on the asylum seekers to prove their claims upon arrival. South Africa has garnered a reputation for its generosity and compassion towards immigrants, asylees, and refugees. Our robust refugee settlement system is unparalleled on the continent, and our constitution reflects our commitment to human rights. However, this generosity has come at a significant cost. Our asylum system is being exploited by individuals filing fraudulent claims to gain entry into South Africa. The court frequently issues ruling that protects illegal immigrants, while foreign-funded NGOs politicize immigration reform and challenge our legislation. This dysfunctional system undermines our laws and hinders genuine claimants with credible asylum cases. A glaring example of this dysfunction is the ease with which individuals can claim a credible fear of persecution, gaining automatic entry into our country. Immigration officials lack the necessary knowledge of the regimes and human rights practices of the asylum seekers' countries of origin. Consequently, fraudulent claims are rampant, with individuals exploiting our system to enter South Africa under false pretenses. The MK Party believes that the current is complicit in undermining our asylum system. We advocate for mandatory detention of arriving aliens seeking asylum until their claims are verified. This measure will prevent individuals absconding into our ensure that only legitimate asylum seekers are granted protection. Parole from detention should be granted only in exceptional circumstances. The current lax detention standards and ease of establishing credible fear claims are at by releasing apprehended aliens into our communities, we enable those with fraudulent claims to disappear and engage in criminal activities. It is imperative that we reform our system to prioritize national security and public safety. The White Paper proposes that South Africa reviews its commitments to the 1951 Convention and the 1967 Protocol, considering reservations and exceptions to align our capabilities. Amnesty International has highlighted the failures of our asylum management process, which has led to a 96% rejection rate of applications and a massive backlog of appeals. This dysfunction leaves asylum seekers in limbo, hereby increasing tensions between South African citizens and immigrants. The MK Party supports mandatory detention and rapid decision-making to bring finality to asylum claims. Those rejected should seek refuge in other countries willing to accept them. Our current system, allowing for automatic extension of asylum status, must be overhauled to prevent manipulation and abuse. In conclusion, we must address the serious defects in our immigration system and the abuses within the asylum and refugee process. The MK Party is committed to ensuring that our laws protect the integrity of our nation while upholding our humanitarian obligations. It is time for a comprehensive overhaul of our migration system, guided by a clear policy framework that balances compassion with security. Let us work together to create a system that is fair, just, and sustainable for all South Africans. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable members, the next speaker in this debate is the Honourable Tatiana on behalf of the EFF.
Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to greet progressive forces of the left in the opposition benches. We start by saying that we reject this budget. Madam Speaker, the first thing the new Minister of Home Affairs did when he came to office was to extend temporary concessions. As of January 2024, the visa backlog for critical skills, business, and general work visas had been cleared. The only category which had significant backlog were Section 11 and Section 18 visas for spousal and relative respectively. So there was no critical skills visa backlog that required urgent attention. Amongst the reasons cited by the department for this backlog was the legitimacy of relationships claimed by the applicants. We know that the department had instituted an investigation into awarding of visas and permits after the Libusi report exposed an endemic corruption with regards to the issuing of visas and permits. On his first day in office was to resolve romantic affairs instead of long thematic issues and other issues that were always faced with generally at the Home Affairs offices. We now have a new minister and we have qualified him and we call him a Minister of Romantic Affairs. We have a serious problem, particularly here in the Cape Town, of European immigrants who have entered the country on visitors' visa and then overstayed their visas, just like those who arrived here in 1652 and never left. They are contributing towards the high cost of living, driving up rental and accommodation prices, as they are seen to be more preferred than locals because they pay in dollars and euros. The Department of Home Affairs has consistently failed to enforce our immigration laws on them. The focus mainly is on Africans, and we know that this hypocrisy will become more worse under the new minister who represents the DA. We want to draw your attention, House Chair, the attention of the House to the pernicious role of white billionaires in Stellenbosch, who are on a clear mission to capture our political system and subvert our democracy by pumping millions of rands to fund certain political parties and establishment of new ones. This is reflected in the report published by My Vote Counts, which revealed that Stellenbosch Mafia spent over 300 million in the past election, and the DA received most of the funding. All patriotic South Africans should be alarmed by the brazen attempt to capture our democracy. We must never allow money to subvert the clarion call made over 60 years ago in Kliptown that the people shall govern. Not money, not markets, but the will of the people should reign supreme. What we are witnessing now is a clear brazen attempt by the Stellenbosch Mafia to capture our heart, but we are not surprised because in 2017 they successfully had the former liberation movement and installed a Manchurian candidate who was raised and groomed by the white big businesses. The Political Party Funding Act established the Multi-Party Democracy Fund, which is managed by the IEC, which allows for any private donor who is genuinely interested in strengthening of multi-party democracy to contribute towards the fund, which will distribute those funds equitably and proportionally. The IEC should tell us how much the Stellenbosch Mafia contributed towards the IEC administered fund, and whether the IEC has ever approached them to solicit any contribution towards multi-party democracy. As the EFF, we are going to demand that the Portfolio Committee, in line with its powers, must summon the Oppenheimer family and the Rupert families and others to come and explain their motives for spending such obscene amounts of money on elections. What exactly is their objective? What do they seek to achieve? Where was this money all along when our people had been suffering in this country? House Chair, lack of funding for border management agency is impacting negatively on the ability to execute their mandate. This means millions of fake products with devastating impact on our economy will continue to find a way into our country. We have noted that although BMA received many functions which were done by other departments, but funds did not follow the functions. The persistent system failures and long queues at Home Affairs offices disproportionately affect the poor, as they have to travel long distances just to access your services. And we consider this as a most pressing challenge that the minister must urgently address. Many of our people still do not have IDs, can't access critical government services because they remain undocumented. The department has become a cartel for crime syndicates, trading in fake identity documents, marriage certificates, and other important documents. The need for efficiency in the delivery of identity cards is crucial to improve the lives of our people. It is unacceptable that citizens can only receive their card instantly during elections, but suffer immensely to get their cards on time once the elections are over.
Honourable
There is a
Member.
lack of,
Honourable
as the
Member,
EFF
your
reject
time
this
has now
budget.
expired.
Thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Van der Merwe on behalf of the IFP. Order. Honourable members. Honourable members, let's proceed with the debate. I'm sure the next speaker will enrich it.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chairperson, the new Minister of Home Affairs, the Honourable Dr. Leon Schreiber, the Honourable Deputy Minister Njabula Nzuza, our Committee Chairperson, Honourable Chabane, our Director General and his team, our entities, our committee staff, Honourable leaders, Honourable House Chairperson, last year on behalf of the IFP, I led a debate in this House on illegal migration. The IFP believes that the failures of our previous administration to effectively manage migration is a national crisis posing a safety and security threat to our nation, but also placing a heavy strain on our state's resources. Due to our previous government's failure to manage migration, communities like Manguzi and Umhlabuyalingana in northern KwaZulu-Natal are constantly and daily under siege. Their cross-border syndicates terrorize communities. They smuggle cigarettes, drugs, and other goods in and out of the country. They invade homes, they steal cars, they abduct people, and they commit murder. South Africans are tired of the lawlessness that prevails in our country. In a country where unemployment is at crisis levels, it is also simply unforgivable that we've allowed businesses to employ undocumented migrants in sectors such as the hospitality sector, construction, transport, are almost exclusively run by illegal, runs deep and have far-reaching consequences. House Chairperson, through public engagements, the IFP's constituency ahead of the elections had put the Department of Home Affairs at the very centre of our focus. I therefore want to read some of their suggestions as contained in the IFP's 2024 election manifesto. Firstly, we believe that we need to ensure the integrity of our borders by fortifying our borders through the construction of proper state-of-the-art control technology, including drone technology. We need to invest in the BMA, as you have said, Honourable Minister, and we need a standalone, capacitated National Immigration Inspectorate. Asylum seeker processing and housing centres must be set up at the ports of entry. Far too many economic migrants have entered our country claiming to be asylum seekers only to disappear into a system that doesn't work. Government should ban the operations of businesses who are found to be employing illegal migrants for a stipulated time period. Fines have not proven to be a deterrent. We need to ensure harsh sentences Home Affairs officials caught stealing South African documents, and it must be. We need to implement a permit review process. All foreign nationals in possession also in the BBC report. We need to reserve the spaza shop industry for South Africans, as well as the low-skill job sector, and we need to into a modern, fit-for-purpose department by investing in infrastructure and modern technology. Minister, I know some of these points don't fall under your portfolio, but in the sixth administration, we had an interministerial task team between the then Minister of Home Affairs, the then Minister of Labour, and the then Minister of Small Business Development, but it came to naught. The GNU's efforts can really not come to nothing this time around. Honourable members, we cannot shy away from the fact that the IEC struggled during the 2024 elections. However, the attacks on their credibility have been unwarranted. We need to, as a portfolio committee, probe where it went wrong and what interventions are needed. Honourable Minister, as we welcome you into your new role, as you have admitted earlier, South Africans now demand a Home Affairs that works. We need to urgently resolve the department's IT challenges while also expanding the booking system and expanding services at banks. South Africans demand a Home Affairs that is no longer only synonymous with its long queues, its systems being offline, corruption, and syndicates. We live in a great country, and its great people deserve a Home Affairs that is functional. When we fix Home Affairs, we start to fix this country. At this critical juncture, where our collective future is at stake, the IFP stands ready to rebuild the Department of Home Affairs with your new leadership.
The next speaker is the Honourable Ngubeni on behalf of Action SA.
Minister, we note your decision to extend the temporary concessions for foreign nationals' visas. However, we hope that you take seriously the widespread corruption and mismanagement that have plagued the Department of Home Affairs. These have allowed criminal elements to exploit our legal visa regime, contributing to the proliferation of drugs and illicit goods in our country. Ours here today is to continue to raise alarm regarding illegal immigration, a topic that sparks intense debate. However, we refuse to turn a blind eye to this issue. Whether we are called sellouts or xenophobes, we stand firm in our commitment to upholding the rule of law, protecting our porous borders, and safeguarding the well-being of our citizens. South Africans must not be intimidated into backing down on this issue. All those who call us xenophobic are bullies who are unpatriotic and want to impose hypocritical standards on us. Borders have always existed, albeit not in the current form. That is a function of history. Our country is facing massive socio-economic troubles and cannot be expected to take on the challenges of other countries at mass scale. Your department should prioritize efforts like conducting a citizens' audit, irrespective of where people come from across the globe. Start with the townships where illegal foreign nationals are running and some owning spaza shops, which should and must be reserved for South Africans. The inability to deal with this issue has caused enmity between Black South Africans and fellow Africans in the diaspora, mainly as we are the most affected by high unemployment, housing problems, access to healthcare, poor education, more than white South Africans. Many youths growing up in child-headed households do not have IDs, rendering them unable to access services. Mothers now must undergo expensive DNA tests to get birth certificates for their children. From Nongoma to Orange Farm, this has become an issue. Increased criminality and decreased wages, the impacts are felt by the most vulnerable among us, including genuine asylum seekers. Furthermore, unchecked migration poses a severe threat to our national security and sovereignty. Being tough in our stance on this issue does not mean we do not recognize the human side of the issue. And so let me be unequivocally clear. We are not against migration, But people must come to South Africa legally, and when they are here, they must respect our laws. We will be watching closely. The work of the advisory board that you intend and have proposed will be set up because South Africans have simply had enough. Action SA will not support any budget that fails to unapologetically put South Africans first. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Deputy Minister of Home Affairs.
Honorable House Chairperson, the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber, members of the Executive, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, members of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, the Chairperson of the IEC, the Director General of Home Affairs, the CEO of GPW, the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The budget we are tabling today should not be seen as just a collection or a series of numbers. We are presenting a budget that is indicative of the priorities of the 7th administration. This budget is a reflection of our commitment to deliver quality services to our citizens. This budget enables us to effectively manage our immigration, supporting economic development and growth, whilst building a safe and secure South Africa. The 24-25 budget reflects a growth in allocation from 9.751 billion to 10.495 billion in the 24-25 financial year. This allocation enables us to deepen our gains by continuing to deliver services and products vital to the socio-economic well-being of our citizens and qualifying residents. Understanding that out of nothing comes nothing, this budget is therefore building from the foundation and strides that were made during the 23-24 financial year. The 23-24 budget allows us to realize our objectives to make convenient the manner in which we offer services to our clients. The 23-24 financial year, our mobile offices visited 1,734 service points. They visited 2,196 schools. In the same financial year, mobile units collected 241,309 smart ID card applications as compared to the 204,317 during the 22-23 financial year, indicating a growth in the use of our mobile services. The purchase of the additional 100 mobile units and the resources we are committing through this budget means that more citizens will access this convenient service. Embracing and investing in technology is what gave birth to the branch appointment booking system, which offers services to our clients at their convenience. BAPS, which can be accessed through the Home Affairs website, has been a game changer in how we manage our queues. BAPS have been rolled out to 204 modernized offices, and it is with great pride that I stand before you today and say that over 1.6 million BAPS appointments were being honored by our clients in the 23-24 financial year. Last year, we indicated that our service improvement plan encompasses modernizing of old offices currently on the manual system. We committed here that 6 more offices will be modernized in the 23-24 financial year to bring the number of modernized offices to 205. House Chairperson, I am happy to say we delivered on this commitment. Live capture was rolled out to Mapuleng and Nkomazi in Mpumalanga, Taung and Molopo in the northwest, Themba and Carltonville in Gauteng. This budget will enable us to modernize 14 more offices. We will also roll out the groundbreaking 75 self-service kiosks, which have already been procured and are currently being configured with our live capture system. The kiosk will increase our footprint and also assist in the alleviation of queues. So we have a plan and we will implement it. As part of our commitment to footprint expansion by way of new purpose-built offices, a new state-of-the-art office was officially opened in Mokopane in May 2024. In the coming months, we should be ready to hand a completed office to the people of Mataitele. And initially, we extended birth registration services to parents in 169 health facilities, which are equipped with the online registration system. In the 23-24 financial year, we registered a total of 900,258 births, of which 744,610 were registered within 30 days, whilst 108,336 births were registered between 31 days to a year. This displayed our efficiency in birth registration, which is the first point of entry to the National Population Register. Early birth registration is a societal responsibility. And so we encourage parents and guardians to register children within 30 days. We also encourage fathers to be present in the registration of their own children. As citizens, we must take responsibility for our children by making sure that we register them on time. This budget allows us to provide our children, youth, citizens, and residents their first issue of an ID document, birth certificate, marriage certificate, passport, and ultimately death certificate, completing their cycle of life. In the 23-24 financial year, the department issued 2,822,236 smart ID cards. So it's true, we are issuing the smart ID cards. It's not that they are not being issued to citizens at the age of 16 years and above against a target of million, which is an increase of 7%. This year, we plan to issue another further 2.5 million smart ID cards. In the same period, 73,364 smart ID card applications were received. 33 banks branches participating on the e-Home Affairs portal. We do value our relationship with the banks. We are also in the process of expanding issuance of smart ID cards, as the minister was saying, to naturalize citizens with a pilot that commenced in the last quarter of 23-24. House Chairperson, holding true to the words of Jack Lew that budgets are an expression of operations. Our values by making resources available for those who were ravaged by through their lives into disarray. In the 23-24 financial year, the department worked with other stakeholders to assist victims of fire and recent weather disasters in the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. In the Western Cape, we assisted 3,220. In KwaZulu-Natal, we reached out to 3,622, 3,000 teams in a. Just recently, we visited the Utongati area where we handed additional identity document. This displays how budgets can be utilized practically to display our values of Ubuntu and care. We will continue to offer a helping hand whenever disaster strikes by making enabling documents available to the victims of disaster, because indeed, at Home Affairs, we care. The Department of Home Affairs plays a very critical role in deepening protection and the advancement of our democracy. This we do by providing support to the Independent Electoral Commission. Our support role to the IEC includes, amongst others, providing identity to eligible voters and verification during registration and voting. To ensure that South Africans participate in democracy, the Department of Home Affairs embarked on a rigorous public awareness campaign calling on all citizens to collect their identity documents to vote. We also opened our offices for 7 consecutive weekends, building up to the 2024 national and provincial elections. House Chairpersons, budgets are low. Combination of financial resources as well as skilled, dedicated, professional human capital force that drives progress. Therefore, our financial resources must be invested in our human capital base for us to realize progress. And that is why we implement programs like the professionalization training program for employees. House Chairperson, allow me to send my deep word of gratitude and appreciation to all of the Home Affairs employees who are dedicated, loyal, and willing to go an extra mile for our citizens. Their work and dedication does not go unnoticed. In conclusion, Chair, I would like to congratulate the Chairperson and the members of the Portfolio Committee on their appointment and wish them all the best on their oversight responsibilities. I would like to salute the exceptional management team of Home Affairs as led by the Director General, Mr. Tommy Makote. I would like to thank my colleague, Dr. Leon Schreiber, for his leadership and displayed commitment. Together, I'm sure we will achieve great things under the government of national unity. We commit to never grow despondent because we understand that the task at hand rests on our shoulders, and it is our duty to execute with perfection. It is Nelson Mandela who teaches us that after climbing a great hill, only one finds there are more hills to climb. There is a lot more to be done, House Chair, and we will execute with precision. I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honourable members, the UDM gave notice that they want to take debate, but I don't have a speaker on the list. Is there somebody representing the UDM? The next speaker on behalf of the ATM is the Honourable Zangula.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, the point of departure is to remind the House that the government is elected to serve the interests of the people. The interest of the country is in securing the borders, reduction of unemployment, and putting South Africa first for every employment. Extending the visa concessions is not in the interest of South Africans, especially because there is a Lubisi report which found, one, visas may have been fraudulently issued, and many visa holders illegally move between visa categories to qualify for permanent residency. Minister, you should have audited the visas and not extend visas that may have been fraudulently issued. Also, people must apply for visas in their home countries, and there must be a skills transfer requirement for all workers' visas. People can't be permanently employed on workers' visas. Furthermore, the rise of the influx of what is termed digital nomads, meaning foreigners from Europe and America, has led to gentrification and pushing out of local residents. The focus on illegal immigration, Minister, is mostly on border jumpers, meaning the people from neighboring countries, but also the people who overstay their visas. People from America, Europe, are also illegal in the country, and they must be dealt with. Companies that sideline South Africans in order to exploit migrants. Sectors such as agriculture, construction, hospitality, blatantly sideline citizens in favor of cheap labor by exploiting migrants. I was in a town called Glen Williams in the Western Cape, where almost all workers are not even South African. The crisis of illegal immigration is a national security risk. Every week, we hear of middle-aged men arrested in other countries whilst en route to South Africa. The past couple of weeks has also been riddled by news of these illegal immigrants committing crimes and being arrested within our borders. I want to put it to you, Minister. Home Affairs is complicit in all the crimes that are committed by every person that is illegal in the country. Also, the country's unemployment crisis could be significantly reduced if the department were to deal with all the company immigration laws. Companies in George, where 34 people died, must be a start. It's the full. Any form of fraudulently acquired citizenship must have must be jailed. God, departments of the state, or even as release the full report. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now invite the Honourable Modise.
Thank you, House Chair. We are of the firm view that us as the legislators and the executive will put hands in the of our people. We fuse together many Bantustans' citizenship records into a common population register of all the people of South Africa. Today, the citizenship of all South Africans is not defined by the color of the skin, by the common heritage of the country we all. Since 1994, the peoples of South Africa have enjoyed the common nationhood and benefited from the rights as enshrined in our Constitution. Today, we can, all of us, call our and enjoy the equal. As the outset, we shall indicate that our Pan-African outlook means the movement of the people and across our borders should happen in an legal. The call on the free movement of peoples and goods requires that each one of us should move freely across our borders as long as we possess the necessary legal documentation, and that we should respect the laws and regulations of the countries we visit. We are aware of the concerns of many South Africans with regard to immigrants who are in our country and the need for us to strengthen our borders. I believe that the its work our country undetected. An adequate resourcing of the BMA is a matter that we should seriously consider by this department. The need for registration of our population is a critical matter that the department should prioritize. We believe that the Department of Home Affairs will further roll out the birth registration program to other hospitals in the country that is born in our hospitals is properly registered. Linked as mobile, most of our rural are far from the Home Affairs offices, the provision of Home Affairs services within the areas they live. In addition, we urge the Department of Home Affairs to open new areas that are far to ensure that provide the matter of at Home Affairs has been raised in a matter of a serious concern. The innovative interventions in a form of the branch appointment booking system is highly appreciated in this regard, as more such individuals still exist within the system. The department should continue to implement its anti-corruption strategy to ensure that there is no further activity within the department. We are electoral commission. The IEC the advancement of our democratic system as it ensures free. We thank the IEC for having conducted, mindful of the concerns raised by South Africans on the IEC processes. As we said in our report, we will engage and deal with the IEC matters and assessment of the 2024 elections is properly and we will play our oversight role to ensure for 2024 on funding from the so-called mafias. I want to encourage all members of political parties to go and look in the mirror, because I can tell you as it is, many of the political parties who are in this room currently are funded from the same pockets. Yet they have the audacity to come here and want to grandstand and want to speak about so-called political funding. As the African National Congress, we commend the work of the Portfolio Committee, and we want to congratulate the new minister and the Deputy Minister, and want to congratulate the continuity of the Home Affairs Chairperson who was elected, Honorable Musa Chaban. The ANC supports this budget vote. I thank you.
Thank you, members. May I remind members that you are allowed to heckle, but you should not drown the speaker as you do so. Do it in a parliamentary fashion that allows the speaker to be heard. I will now invite the honourable member from Al Jama. We move honourable member from the NCC. Honourable member from the NCC. We move honourable member from the U80. Honourable member from U80. I now invite the Honourable Van Staden.
Eerstens wil ek my gelukwense aan die nuwe minister oordra. Ek wens u alle sterkte toe in die werksaamhede en ons glo en vertrou dat met die nuwe regering vir nasionale eenheid sal u hierdie departement verander en omkeer in 'n positiewe vooruitstrevende rigting instuur. Ek dink die tyd het aangebreek om hierdie skip om te draai. Weer eens baie geluk. Suid-Afrika moet beskerm word en die integriteit van die land se grense moet herstel word. Sagte grense beteken dat die mens en buitelandse goedere soos vuurwapens en dwelms beweeg. Dit maak dit ook makliker vir gewetenlose handelaars om tariewe wat ingestel is om die plaaslike ekonomie te beskerm, te omseil. Daar moet doeltreffende grensbeheer wees en ons moet ons land beskerm. Immigration is a natural process and every country tries to manage it in such a way that it is beneficial. For that to happen, immigrants must possess knowledge and skills that are scarce in the recipient country. Border control, South Africa is the recipient of large numbers of immigrants whose potential to contribute to the country has not been assessed. These illegal immigrants put immense pressure on the water resources, healthcare, job opportunities, and other social services to the detriment of South African citizens. Daar moet sterk opgetree word teen korrupte amptenary. Die beweging van dwelms, renoster, horings en vuurwapens oor ons grense moet gestop word en onwettige immigrasie moet daadwerklik aangespreek word. Die Departement van Buitelandse Sake sal gesprekke moet aanknoop met die Departement van Openbare Werke en Infrastruktuur oor die vervalle grensdrade van ons land om daardie probleem saam op te los. Die landse grense sal dringend herstel en opgegradeer moet word. With a budget of 10.5 billion for 24-25 financial year, which is a drop of 1.8 billion this year, I am concerned management authority is in need for additional staff. I'm also concerned about the long queues and network downtime at the offices of the Department of Home Affairs across the country. The New Minister, in his public statement on the 4th of July, that the word system offline will now be a swear word in this department. Thank you very much. Indeed, Minister, it's unacceptable that for many years people have to stand and even for days just to apply for an ID or a passport, and also have to wait for months just to receive those documents back, but is either totally incorrect or have spelling errors on it or doesn't even belong to the relevant applicant. Ek stem saam dat die tegnologie op standaard gekry moet word, maar ek wil verder gaan deur te sê dat kundige mense aangestel moet word wat hierdie werk kan verrig. Daar moet weer na reise werksaamhede gekweek word en die publiek moet weer met waardigheid bedien en behandel word. Wanadministrasie en korrupsie moet met wortel en tak uitgeroei word en aanpassings sal gemaak word om die nuwe rigting in te slaan. Hierdie departement moet die beste inwoners op jaar poste en nie as gevolg van politieke assosiasie of regstellende aksie nie. The backlog on the processing of visas and permits must be attended to. I agree that the IEC must also come and report to the committee on the assessment of the 24 elections. Voter education and the importance of voting is key to our democracy. Voorsitter, die VF+ is bereid om saam te werk om hierdie departement voor in die moeras te lig van wanbestuur, wanadministrasie en korrupsie. Let's store and rebuild. Thank you, Chairperson.
Dankie, achtbare lid. I now invite the Honorable Member Bowman, who is her maiden speech.
House Chair, 1,600 kilometers from where we are today, in an informal settlement near Mshlanga, KwaZulu-Natal, lives the Dlamini family. Mr. Dlamini is the sole breadwinner for a family of 5, including a special needs child. Despite his efforts, their situation is dire, not because of a lack of will, but due to systemic failures. Mrs. Dlamini has been unable to obtain her ID document, and their bedridden son has never been registered at birth, preventing him from receiving any form of grant. Living in a 3x3 meter corrugated iron dwelling, they rely on handouts, representing an all too common reality faced by families trapped in similar circumstances, unable to find work, unable to earn an income, and stripped of their. The Minister's vision to address the dysfunction of people of their dignity and move to an online Home Affairs is crucial and a welcome step forward. Civic services are deeply personal, marking the beginning of our lives with birth registration and ending with the issuance of death certificates. The importance of efficient and accessible civic services cannot be overstated. Over the past 5 years, Home Affairs have lost 77 years' worth of office hours due to systems being offline, despite CETA uptime being regularly above 99%. This extensive loss of hours highlights a critical need for a reliable IT system. We also welcome Minister's indication that online booking systems will be extended to other civic services beyond IDs and passports. This extension will reduce long queues and system downtimes that currently alleviate backlogs and improving service delivery. The phasing out of green ID books and the severe backlog in issuing smart card identity documents are pressing issues. The commitment to ensure that naturalized citizens and South African citizens abroad can apply for smart IDs is a point. However, the delays in issuing these documents must be urgently addressed to avoid further disenfranchising our citizen. The issue of child statelessness remains a grave concern. In 2021, the Department of Basic Education reported 465,826 South African identity numbers for the Lotus School Administration System. These children, whose births have risk becoming stateless and are unable to apply for driver's licenses, work, or receive social support. There is currently no comprehensive policy framework for managing stateless children in South Africa. As highlighted by the Constitutional Court in the case of S versus M, every child has his or her own dignity. Children should be extensions of their parents, doomed to share their circumstances. The approval of a DA resolution by the 6th Parliament mandates Home Affairs work proactively with the Department of Basic Education to address the large numbers of learners without birth registrations is a significant step forward. The increased deployment of mobile units and the opening of Home Affairs offices on Saturdays to accommodate school learners will help mitigate these issues. In conclusion, let us think back to the Dlamini family. Their story is not just a story of one family, but a reflection of a broader systemic issue that affects countless others. Addressing these issues is not merely a bureaucratic task, it's a moral imperative. We must ensure that every South African from birth to death is recognized, respected, and afforded the dignity they deserve. The steps outlined by the Minister are promising, but swift and effective implementation is essential. Together we can change the narratives for families like the Dlaminis, ensuring that they too can enjoy the full rights and opportunities that come with being recognized citizens of our nation. Thank you.
Order, order, honorable members. I now invite the Honorable Mahato.
To the Minister, to the Deputy Minister, to the Chairperson and all the members here. I just want to say greetings. Allow me to start with my speech. We take this opportunity to join our colleagues and our congratulating the Minister and the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs for the appointment by the President to be part of the executive and government of the national unity. We are hopeful that together we will still steer the Department and Home Affairs and entitled to implement the policies going forward. This budget, vote for the Department of Home Affairs, and these entities can be seen a conclusion of the sixth administration. And as that of the national unity, we, as the our approach, policy is within the principle continuing the change and change. In this president, in this state of the national address in February 2024, highlighted key policy achieved by the democratic government led by the ANC since 1994. As we mark the 30 years of democracy, the president reflected on our journey through the metaphor of Tintswalo, the democratic child. The story of Tintswalo is story of socio-economic condition of our people since 1994. We are surely not where we were in 1994, and we are also not where we want to be. The democratic government since 1994 have ensured that our people enjoy the rights and the equals as citizens of our country, and therefore it entrenches the sense of confirmation of the nationalhood and patriotism. From 1994, all the people of South Africa enjoyed their rights to participate in election of both voters and the public representation. For its parts, the Department of Home Affairs has played an important role in facilitating the realization of citizenship rights among our people by offers and identifying and also define of all the people of South Africa, and thus playing the critical role in inclusion of all the citizens of democratic of development. In this regard, the department has enabled people to participate in economy through the provision of IDs and also ensure that the people benefit from the service offered by the democratic government. The journey 24 has also provided with important lessons of how it exposed to us exposed to us and some of the gaps need to be addressed as part of the journey forward. As a country, we are concerned about the issue of the management of migration and the management of our borders. We are concerned about the fraudulent production of identity documents and impact on the national security. We are equally concerned about the long queues on some of our home affairs offices And this creates frustration among the people when they require services from Home Affairs. We, however, note and appreciate the intervention by the Department of Home Affairs to address the challenges. Just to mention, but also a few, and then the department has tightened and also security to all of the operational measure to ensure that anybody who issues fraudulent ID is traced and arrested. Sorry. The department has also developed BABS system that is intended to reduce the long queues at Home Affairs offices. The BABS...
Honourable Member, nako e fedile. I will now invite the Minister to respond to the debate. Honourable the Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it's important to start by saying thank you to all the members who've contributed to this debate. This is going to be one of the critical areas we need to work on in this administration, and I'm very grateful to see how many of you are animated and engaged in the very real issues that this department faces. I don't think anyone is under any illusion. If there was a magic wand, all of us would have waved it by now, but there isn't. All there is hard work and commitment that is required from all of us. So thank you for the participation in this debate, Chair. I also want to welcome the clear widespread support for the work of Operation Vulindlela and everything that goes with that. I think that has been a catalytic program, not only for this department, but for government as a whole. And because they touch on many of the things that have been mentioned here, whether it is employment, whether it is the infrastructure, the information technology. There are big opportunities for us there. As the chair of the committee, I would also ask that we really push and get as much as we can out of that intervention. The BMA budget, I think that is clearly chairperson and one that needs to be addressed. I would also ask for the committee's help on that, because I think it was mentioned by one of the speakers here that your budget reflects your priorities. And for everyone here, which is all of us, who cares about securing the borders, the budget does not reflect that as a priority as we speak. And so that is going to have to be the first step for all of us to work together and to make sure that in the next cycle reflects the agreement on this committee. And elections, I think, is one that's come up, Commissioner. I think it's an important one that we will all be looking forward to. And then we have that runway into the next election to make sure that we can address challenges and issues that emerged out of that. But that one is pending and on the way, as I understand it, Chair. I want to raise an additional point that was made on the asylum seekers and refugees, I think, by the member from MK. There's also a global responsibility on this. And migration is an international phenomenon, and it has international consequences if South Africa loses control over our migration management. And therefore, I think there's also an opportunity for us to be honest about the budget constraints we face, but to actually use that to go to the international community and say, we know there are many crises in the world, in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe, but you cannot forget about South Africa. You cannot leave behind the migration issues that specifically South Africa is dealing with. Because I can tell you now that if South Africa fails to manage this issue, then the problem will extend and go into other parts of the world. So it is in the interest of the global community to also come to the party to help us get the capacity we need to process that massive backlog that one report estimated will take something like 60 years to process. I mean, that's where we need support. If you want to help South Africa, I say to the global community, this is the place where you begin. It's helping us with migration, and that's a message that, Chair, I will be carrying as well. I'm a bit confused by some of the points raised by the honourable member from the EFF, who said that, who spoke about hypocrisy on border issues. But I found a quote here from 2019 from the leader of the EFF, where he said to Radio 702, and I quote, "Those things of borders, we will not have them." Now, I must say, Chair, I don't agree with the EFF whatsoever. We must have borders. We must secure them. And if there is hypocrisy, you will find it on that side of the House. Chair, I must add also the issue of the party funding.
Order, honourable members. Order.
I'd like to agree on the position on party funding. I think it's an important issue we have to take up. But once again, I think if we're going to look into the issue of party funding, the question we need to ask is, where are the EFF's declarations of the VBS money? Where are the declarations? We want to look into the declarations. We cannot only talk about party funding and ignore and turn a blind eye to these serious allegations, Chair. Chair, I want to wrap up by thanking... Chair, I want to wrap up by thanking many of the members here from the IFP, from the Freedom Front, who have made constructive contributions around issues like interministerial cooperation. If we want to deal with employers who break the law, we need the Minister of Employment to help us with that. If we want to deal with infrastructure, we need Public Works to help us with that. So also for the committee, a plea to help bring people together through the mechanisms you have. And then I want to end off by echoing the point that was made by the Honourable Van der Merwe. Now go a step further. I think people are so despondent about Home Affairs in many cases, as they are about South Africa in many ways. But I say, if we can make Home Affairs work, we will restore hope that South Africa can work.
Thank you, honourable members. Thank you. Honourable members, you are reminded that there are 3 debates which are scheduled for 14 hours, 2 o'clock. The basic education budget vote, which will take place at Good Hope Chamber. Planning, monitoring and evaluation budget vote, which will take place at M46. And correctional services budget vote, which will take place in the same venue, S12. That concludes the debate and the business for this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will rise. Thank you.